And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Thursday, January 5th. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories right here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com. And here are some of the news stories from the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. The Cheyenne River Sioux tribe may lose its buffalo herd if it cannot settle a $1 million claim by a rancher who says he was not paid for 308 bison that he sold to the tribal company 5 years ago. Unless the tribe and the rancher, Clint Amy out of Interior, can reach an agreement by today, the U.S. Marshal intends to auction the tribe's herd on January 23rd, according to a letter Amiot's lawyer sent to the tribal chairman, tribal council, and attorneys. Amiot was granted a judgment of almost $1.1 million against a tribal company in August of 2010 after the company did not contest the rancher's claims. The amount of money owed has since been reduced to about $750,000, not including interest, according to court filings. The Rapid City Journal reported that the tribe's chairman, Kevin Keckler, wouldn't specify the size of the tribe's buffalo herd or comment on the case. Court documents indicate the tribe owns more than 400 bison. On the second Friday of every month, two very different groups of people, most of them New Mexicans, get together at a school on the Navajo reservation for one of the state's most unique commercial customs. The Crown Point Rug Auction got started in 1968 as a way for Navajo weavers to profit more from their hand-spun and woven textiles that were once used casually as saddle blankets but were quickly becoming expensive works of art. By 4 p.m., when the doors open to the Crown Point Elementary School, more than 100 Navajo weavers and their families begin moving into the gymnasium with the results of months of work rolled up in plastic containers. By 5 p.m., the bidders, almost all of whom were Anglos, begin to arrive and look through what will be for sale. Some of the bidders looked as if they're dripping with money. Most of them appear to know what they're doing, taking notes and occasionally measuring the rugs. A few bidders appear to be professional traders. They are the most discreet of all. On December 9th, there were 227 rugs up for auction, wall hangings selling for as little as $35 to rugs up to 8x4, some of them that went for as much as $1,500. An unofficial hearing called by Democratic Senator Robert Jauch and Representative Janet Bewley over a bill that would significantly change the Wisconsin mining laws for Gogebic Taconite Mining Company upriver from the Bad River Ojibwe Reservation has been canceled for Saturday morning, January 7th at the Ashland, Wisconsin High School. The Democratic hearings were canceled shortly after Republican Jobs Committee Chair Representative Mary Williams of Medford, Wisconsin, scheduled another hearing in the pro-mining town of Hurley, Wisconsin on Wednesday, January 11th, beginning at 10 a.m. The bill had its first hearing in West Allis, Wisconsin, almost 300 miles or more from the site of the proposed mine. Wisconsin residents were critical of holding a hearing hundreds of miles from the area that may be impacted the most, including the rice beds of the Kakagan Sloughs on the Bad River Reservation downstream from the proposed mine. Events scheduled by the Bad River Tribe for Friday evening, January 6th, including a feast and powwow social, will still be held, and regional activists were calling on individuals to still show up at the Ashland High School on Saturday morning in order to sign petitions, organize, and record the growing opposition to the repeal of those environmental protections. Jauch and Bewley issued a release apologizing for any confusion, but said they encourage everybody to attend the Hurley mining hearing in order to get their suggestions, concerns, and opposition into the official public record. The parent company of the Indian-run Mohegan Sun casinos in Connecticut and Pennsylvania say it has failed to reach an agreement to refinance $811 million in debt, but lenders have waived a possible default. Mitchell Ettis, chief executive of the authority, which owns and operates the Mohegan Sun in Uncasville and Mohegan Sun at Pocono Downs in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, told the Associated Press last week that the dire warning was only a financial requirement of auditors. Auditors have no choice, he said. They must put that in the language. Ettis cited the waiver as a vote of confidence by lenders and cited fourth quarter income of $46.7 million compared with $26.3 million loss in the same quarter last year. Keith Little, one of the most recognizable of the remaining Navajo Code Talkers and a vocal proponent for a museum to tell their story, has passed on. Little passed away on January 3rd at Fort Defiance Hospital, according to the Navajo Code Talkers Association. He was 87. Little joined the Marines at 17. He was among hundreds of Navajos recruited by the U.S. Marine Corps and trained as code talkers who used a code that was developed by 29 Navajos and based on their own language. History will be made when Maine lawmakers return to the State House for their 212th session and welcome a new member. David Slager will be seated in the House, becoming Maine's first Maliseet Indian legislator. The University of Maine doctoral candidate was sworn in by Governor Paul DeMain this week. Two of Maine's four tribes, the Penobscot and the Passamaquoddy, are already represented in the legislature. The Micmac are not. The Holton Band of Maliseets was authorized to send a representative to the legislature in 2010. Maine is unique among the states in having Indian tribal representatives, according to Maine Indian historian Glenn Starbird. The earliest record of Indian representation dates to 1823, 3 years after Maine became a state when the Penobscots sent a member. A former Blackfeet Indian Reservation resident with a doctorate in clinical psychology is the new president of Blackfeet Community College in Browning. Billy Joe Kipp tells the Great Falls Tribune that the fact she earned an advanced degree after dropping out of college on her first attempt could help inspire struggling students. Kipp graduated from the University of Great Falls in 1996 before getting her master's and doctorate at the University of Montana. She has served as Associate Director of Training and Education at the University of New Mexico's Center of Native American Health, while also maintaining a private clinical practice counseling Native Americans. Kipp says she hopes to add more four-year college programs and develop courses to train people for jobs. And that's another roundup of news from Indian Country. On this edition of the Native News Update, we want to thank you for joining with us and come back again soon.